I overheard my girlfriend tell her friend, "I'm still completely in love with my ex. This guy is just a safe backup while I wait for him to come back." She laughed. "He's so pathetic and desperate. He'll probably propose soon, watch me say no and break his heart." So I returned the ring and took my brutal revenge. Hey everyone! Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. Sup, Reddit. This all happened about 3 weeks ago, and I'm still processing it. I thought I was going to surprise my girlfriend with takeout. Instead, I overheard a phone call that changed everything. Me, 28 male, and my girlfriend Natalie, 26 female, have been together for a year and 8 months. Things were solid between us. Both families loved each other. The whole deal. We'd been talking about moving in together, and I was seriously thinking about proposing. Last Tuesday, I got off work early because my boss had some conference thing. Figured I'd surprise Natalie with takeout from this Thai place she loves. I have a key to her apartment since we've been talking about me moving in soon, so I let myself in quietly, thinking maybe I could catch her off guard. That's when I heard her voice coming from the bedroom. She was on the phone talking pretty loud and sounded upset. Like really upset. I was gonna announce myself, but something about her tone made me stop in the hallway. "Kenzie, I don't know what to do," she was saying. Figured she was talking to her sister about work drama or something, so I just stood there waiting for a good moment to let her know I was there. Then she said something that made my blood run cold. "I found Austin's ring yesterday when I was putting away his laundry." My heart jumped into my throat. She found the ring? How? I had it buried under like 6 pairs of socks in my dresser. That ring cost me almost $4,000, and I'd been hiding it for weeks, waiting for the perfect moment to propose. "I know he's going to propose soon, and I just can't do it," she continued through tears. "I'm not ready. I can't stop thinking about Jacob." Jacob, her ex from college. The guy she dated for 3 years before we got together. She always told me that was completely over and done with. Ancient history. I felt like someone kicked me in the stomach. She's still thinking about her ex while I'm planning our future? "Kenzie, I've been texting him for months trying to get him to talk to me," she said, and now she was full on crying. "He barely responds, like maybe one word answers if I'm lucky, but I can't get over him." Months. She's been texting her ex for months while we're together, while I'm falling asleep next to her every night thinking everything's perfect. She went on and on about how I was perfect on paper, how I treated her well, how our families got along, how everything made sense. But none of it mattered, because I wasn't Jacob. That was the name that lived in the back of her mind, while I was standing right in front of her making real plans. Perfect on paper. That's what I was to her. A safe option. A backup plan dressed up like a soulmate. Just a guy who checked boxes but didn't light up whatever fantasy she was still holding on to. Her sister must have pushed back, because Natalie's whole energy shifted. She got defensive, like she knew she was exposing too much. She admitted she should break up with me, but said she couldn't. I was the one who kept everything together, who made her feel stable and taken care of. That was enough for now, at least in her mind, and apparently she needed more time to sort through her feelings. More time. While I was out here researching ring cuts and browsing wedding venues, she was trying to figure out if she even wanted me. I was already in the next chapter, and she was still stuck rereading the prologue with someone who left. Then she started wondering what would happen if I proposed, and she said yes. Not because she loved me, but because the thought of being alone terrified her. She knew that wouldn't be fair to me, at least she acknowledged that much. I heard her sister saying something, and then Natalie laughed a little through her tears. "Yeah, you're right. Poor Austin has no idea I'm still in love with someone else." Poor Austin. That's me. Poor, clueless Austin who's been planning the perfect proposal while his girlfriend is secretly pining for her ex, who wants nothing to do with her. They talked for a few more minutes about how complicated everything was, and how she didn't know what to do. Kenzie seemed to be telling her to either commit to me or break up with me, which honestly was the most sense anyone was making. But Natalie kept making excuses. "I can't just throw away what Austin and I have. He's been so good to me. And our families would be devastated." Our families. Right. Can't break up with your backup boyfriend because it would disappoint the parents. I backed out of the apartment as quietly as I could and sat in my car for 20 minutes just staring at the steering wheel. My whole world just got turned upside down. The woman I thought I was going to marry was using me as a placeholder, while chasing after someone who clearly wanted nothing to do with her. The Thai food got cold in the passenger seat. Couldn't even think about eating. Just drove home in a daze trying to process what I'd just heard. That night, Natalie texted me asking if I wanted to come over and watch a movie, acting like nothing happened. Like she hadn't just spent an hour on the phone with her sister talking about how she's still in love with her ex. I made some excuse about being tired and stayed home. Spent the whole night staring at the ceiling, thinking about every moment in our relationship that suddenly made sense. All those times she'd go quiet when certain songs came on. How she'd get weird when we passed places that reminded her of college. The way she'd sometimes look at me like she was seeing someone else. I'd been so stupid. All the signs were there, and I just ignored them because I wanted to believe we were happy. The worst part was realizing that while I was falling deeper in love with her, she was falling deeper into some fantasy about getting back together with a guy who clearly moved on years ago. 20 months of my life, 20 months of thinking I'd found the one, 20 months of her settling for me while dreaming about someone else. I barely slept that night, just kept replaying her words over and over. Poor Austin has no idea I'm still in love with someone else. The way she said it like I was some charity case she was doing a favor. I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to confront her right away, but I also knew I needed to think this through. Because once you open that door, you can't close it again. And I had a feeling there was more to this story than just some leftover feelings for an ex. I was right about that. Way more right than I wanted to be. The next day was absolute torture. I couldn't focus at work, couldn't eat, couldn't think about anything except what I'd heard. Every time my phone buzzed with a text from Natalie acting all normal and sweet, I felt sick to my stomach. She came over Wednesday night like nothing happened. Walked in with this big smile, gave me a kiss, started talking about her day at work. The whole time I'm sitting there thinking about how she's been texting Jacob behind my back for months. "You seem quiet tonight," she said, curling up next to me on the couch. "Everything okay, babe?" Babe. She called me babe while secretly being in love with someone else. "Just tired," I told her. "Long day." We watched some Netflix show, but I wasn't paying attention. Just kept glancing at her phone every time it buzzed, wondering if it was him. Wondering how long this had been going on. Wondering what else I didn't know. About an hour in, she got up to use the bathroom and left her phone on the coffee table. The screen was still lit up from a notification, and I could see it wasn't locked. I know snooping through someone's phone is wrong. I know it's a violation of privacy. But finding out your girlfriend is emotionally cheating kind of changes the rules, doesn't it? She already violated our relationship, so why should I respect her privacy? My hands were literally shaking as I picked up her phone. Part of me hoped I wouldn't find anything. Maybe I misunderstood the phone call. Maybe it wasn't as bad as it sounded. I was wrong. It was so much worse. I scrolled through her messages with Jacob and honestly wanted to throw up. This wasn't just leftover feelings or casual catching up. This was full-blown emotional cheating going back 8 months. 8 months. The messages started innocent enough. "Hey stranger, how are you?" And, "Saw your LinkedIn post about the new job, congrats." Normal ex-girlfriend stuff that maybe could be explained away. And Jacob's responses? Either complete silence or one-word answers like thanks or cool or glad you're doing well. The guy was clearly not interested in rekindling anything, but she kept pushing. But then they got progressively more desperate and pathetic. The really recent ones were even worse because you could see how desperate she was getting as our relationship got more serious. "I'm seeing someone new, but I can't stop thinking about you. I would leave Austin in a heartbeat if you just said the word. Would leave me in a heartbeat. For a guy who won't even text her back." The last message was from 2 days ago. 2 days. "I think Austin is going to propose soon and I'm panicking. You're supposed to be the one asking me to marry you, not him." I screenshot the worst ones and sent them to myself, then deleted the evidence from her sent folder. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely type. She came back from the bathroom and snuggled up next to me like nothing happened. "What are you looking at on your phone?" "Just work emails." I lied. "Ugh, work is so boring." "Pay attention to me instead," she said, taking my phone and setting it aside. Then she kissed me and said, "I love you so much, Austin. You make me so happy." I wanted to throw up. She just told me she loved me after I read 8 months of her begging another guy to take her back. The rest of the night was pure torture. She kept being all affectionate and talking about random future plans we had. A concert next month, maybe taking a trip somewhere for our 2-year anniversary. Our 2-year anniversary? When I was planning to propose to someone who's been emotionally cheating on me for almost half our relationship. After she fell asleep, I went through more of her phone. Found some deleted message threads that I was able to recover. Messages to her friends talking about Jacob. Messages to her sister that confirmed everything I'd overheard. But the worst part was finding her photo gallery. She still had pictures of her and Jacob from college. Not just a few old ones buried in her camera roll. Recent screenshots of his social media. Pictures she'd saved of places they used to go together. She even had a whole album labeled Memories that was just photos of them. She had an album dedicated to her ex while dating me for almost 2 years. I found her Pinterest boards too. Wedding planning stuff that I thought was about us. But when I looked closer, half the pins were from when she was dating Jacob. She'd been planning her dream wedding with him in mind this whole time. I barely slept that night. Just laid there next to her watching her sleep and wondering who the hell this person really was. In the morning, she woke up all happy and normal, made us coffee, talked about her plans for the day. After she left, I sat in my kitchen staring at those screenshots trying to figure out what to do. Part of me wanted to confront her right away, but I also knew once I did that our relationship was over. No coming back from this. But honestly, it was already over, wasn't it? You can't unknow what I now knew. You can't unfeel the betrayal. You can't go back to being happy with someone who's been using you as a placeholder while chasing their ex. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. Not just at her, but at myself for being so blind. All those times she'd get distant or weird, and I'd ask what was wrong, and she'd say, "Nothing, just tired," or "work stress." It was never work stress. It was Jacob stress. She was probably thinking about him every time she was with me. Every "I love you" was a lie. Every conversation about our future was her going through the motions. Every time we were intimate, she was probably wishing I was someone else. I called in sick to work and spent the day going through everything trying to make sense of it all. But there was nothing to make sense of. She was still in love with her ex and had been lying to me about it for months. The question now was, what the hell was I going to do about it? Around noon, my mom texted me asking if I was excited about the family dinner this weekend. Right, the family dinner. I'd completely forgotten about it with all this Jacob drama. Mom had been planning this thing for weeks. Both sets of parents, my little sister Ella, Natalie's sister Kenzie, even my grandparents were supposed to come. It was supposed to be this big celebration dinner, and everyone basically thought I was going to propose. My stomach dropped. Both our families were expecting an engagement announcement. They'd been dropping hints for weeks about special occasions and exciting news. Natalie's dad even pulled me aside last weekend and said he was looking forward to officially welcoming me to the family. They were all making plans and having expectations based on complete bullshit. My family was ready to welcome this girl as a daughter, while she was secretly begging her ex to take her back. Her family was treating me like the perfect son-in-law while their daughter was using me as a backup plan. That's when it hit me. If Natalie wanted to keep playing pretend happy couple while texting Jacob behind everyone's backs, maybe it was time for the truth to come out. Not just between us, but between everyone who was being lied to. I know that sounds harsh, but think about it. These people loved us. They were investing emotionally in our relationship, making plans, getting excited about our future. They deserved to know what kind of person they were dealing with. Plus, if I confronted Natalie privately, she'd just make excuses or promise to change or whatever. She'd been lying for 8 months. What's a few more lies to save face? But if everyone knew the truth at once, no way to spin that. No way to make excuses when both sets of parents are staring at evidence of her emotional cheating. The first thing I did was drive to the jewelry store and return the ring. The sales lady processed the return without asking any questions. $4,000 back in my account. Kept the receipt, though. Had a feeling I might need it. Then I started planning. The dinner was Saturday night at my parents' house. Everyone would be there. Everyone would be expecting good news. And instead, they were going to get the truth about who Natalie really was. I spent hours going through those screenshots, deciding which ones would have the most impact. Friday was a blur of trying to act normal while planning everything out. Natalie texted me asking what she should wear, because she wanted to make a good impression. Something nice, I told her. It's going to be a memorable night. Saturday finally came. I kept checking those screenshots on my phone, making sure I had everything ready. The ring return receipt was in my wallet. The evidence was loaded up and ready to go. Part of me felt bad about doing this in front of both families. But then I remembered those messages. I would leave Austin in a heartbeat if you just said the word. You're the only one I've ever really loved. She made her choice when she started texting Jacob. She made her choice every day for 8 months when she decided to keep lying. Now she could live with the consequences. My phone kept buzzing with excited texts from family members. My mom saying she picked up sparkling cider for toasting. Natalie's mom thanking me for making her daughter so happy. Everyone so excited for what they thought was coming. If only they knew what was really coming. Time to show everyone who they were really dealing with. Saturday night finally came, and I was honestly nervous as hell. I got to my parents' house around 6 p.m. and both families were already there. Natalie arrived, and when she saw me, she practically glowed and gave me this huge hug. "You look so handsome," she whispered in my ear. "I'm so excited for tonight." My stomach was churning, but I managed to smile back. Around the table, I could see both sets of parents watching us with these proud expressions. My mom kept making meaningful eye contact with me like she was expecting some big announcement. Her dad kept grinning and nodding at me. Dinner started off normal. Everyone was chatting and laughing, passing around my mom's famous lasagna, talking about work and weekend plans. Natalie kept squeezing my hand under the table and shooting me these sweet looks. About halfway through the meal, my dad stood up with his drink. "It's so wonderful to have both families together tonight. Austin and Natalie, you two have something really special." Everyone raised their glasses. Natalie was beaming. "To young love," my dad continued, "and to the exciting future ahead." Everyone clinked glasses and took sips. Her parents were practically glowing with pride. My grandparents kept nodding approvingly. Even Kenzie was grinning like she knew some secret. "This is so nice," Natalie said to the table. "Having everyone together like this feels so right. Like we're all one big family. One big family built on lies." The conversation naturally shifted to relationships and the future. My mom started talking about how mature we both were and how refreshing it was to see young people really committed to each other. "It's so rare to see couples who are completely devoted to each other these days," her dad said, looking at us proudly. "No games, no drama, just genuine love and respect. No games, no drama." I almost laughed. That's when I knew it was time. I couldn't sit there any longer listening to everyone praise a relationship that was built on emotional cheating and lies. "Speaking of being devoted to each other," I said, looking directly at Natalie, "how's Jacob doing these days?" The whole table went quiet. You could have heard a pin drop. Natalie's face went completely white. "What?" she said with a nervous laugh. "Why would I know how Jacob's doing?" The moment I mentioned Jacob, her mom looked confused, like she couldn't believe I'd said that name out loud. Natalie started to panic, her voice shaky, trying to figure out where I was going with this. I didn't waste time. "Well, based on your text messages, I figured you two were still pretty close," I said, pulling out my phone. I held up my phone, screenshots ready, gave her the choice. I could read them, or she could explain. She whispered that we should talk in private. Not a chance. Everyone at that table thought this dinner was leading to a proposal. They deserved the truth. My dad asked what was going on, so I started reading. Messages from Natalie to Jacob, telling him she missed him, that letting him go was a mistake, that she thought about him every day. Her mom gasped. Her dad's face changed instantly. Confusion, then anger. I kept going. She told him I was a good guy, but I'd never be him. That hit hard. Silence fell over the table. Natalie was crying, but I wasn't done. I read the timestamps, one from last month, one from 3 weeks ago, and one from just 2 days ago. That was the one where she told Jacob she'd leave me in a heartbeat if he said the word. The room cracked. Natalie begged, said I was taking things out of context. I asked what context made 8 months of messages begging her ex to take her back okay. No one had an answer, not even her. I pulled out the ring return receipt. My mom went pale. Everyone realized what tonight was supposed to be. Her mom cried. My grandma looked disgusted. Kenzie called her out for lying. Natalie said she loved me, but I threw her own words back at her. Her dad snapped, asking what she meant if not exactly what she'd written. Ella, cold as ice, pointed out Jacob wasn't even replying. Natalie had been chasing a fantasy while dragging me along. "I think you need to leave," my mom said quietly. "This dinner was supposed to celebrate your relationship with our son, but there's nothing to celebrate. This is the most selfish thing I've ever seen," her dad said, standing up. "Austin has been nothing but good to you, and this is how you repay him?" Natalie looked around the table, hoping someone would defend her, but everyone was done. Even her own family had turned against her. The dinner was over. The relationship was over. And everyone finally knew the truth. The days after the dinner were brutal. Word travels fast when you blow up a relationship in front of both families, and social media made it even worse. Monday morning, I woke up to 47 missed calls and over 200 text messages. Most were from Natalie, but some were from her friends, mutual friends, even people I barely knew who'd somehow heard about what happened. Natalie's messages were a mix of desperate apologies and straight-up manipulation. Started with, "I'm so sorry, baby, please forgive me," and evolved into, "You embarrassed me in front of my entire family," and "That was cruel even for you." Cruel even for me? Lady, you were texting your ex for 8 months. But the really interesting stuff started happening when other people got involved. Apparently, Natalie had been running her mouth to friends about the whole thing, trying to spin it like I was the bad guy. Her best friend Ashley called me around noon asking what happened Saturday. Natalie was apparently telling everyone I ambushed her with fake screenshots. Fake screenshots. She was claiming I somehow edited 8 months of her begging Jacob to take her back. So I sent Ashley the real screenshots straight from Natalie's phone. Within an hour, Ashley called back sounding shocked. Turns out Natalie had been complaining about me for months, telling her friends I was getting too serious too fast, and she felt pressured. Getting too serious too fast. While I'm shopping for engagement rings, thinking she's as invested as I am. Ashley said Natalie had mentioned thinking about Jacob lately, but claimed it was just nostalgia. Her friends figured it was normal to think about exes sometimes. Not normal to text them daily for 8 months, begging them to take you back, though. Tuesday, my buddy Mason called asking if it was true I exposed my girlfriend at a family dinner. News travels fast, apparently. His girlfriend knew Natalie's cousin or something and heard I read her texts out loud in front of everyone. Yeah, I did. She was emotionally cheating, and both families thought I was going to propose. They deserved to know who they were supporting. It was brutal. But so was finding out your girlfriend of almost 2 years never actually wanted to be with you. Wednesday brought the social media drama. Natalie posted some cryptic bullshit on Instagram about people showing their true colors and learning who really has your back. Classic victim mentality posting. But then my sister Ella commented, maybe don't text your ex for 8 months if you want people to have your back. And it turned into a whole public argument between them. Other people started commenting, asking what happened. Someone posted, didn't Austin and Natalie just have a big family dinner? And it spiraled from there. I stayed off social media completely, but Ella kept me updated on the drama. Apparently, Natalie deleted the original post after their mom told her she was embarrassing the family further. Thursday, her dad called to apologize again and ask if there were more messages. I'd been dreading this question. Told him there were more, but sharing them wouldn't help anyone. When he asked how bad they were, I said what I shared. Saturday was the PG version. He went quiet for a while, then said something that surprised me. His daughter made adult choices, and now she could live with adult consequences. No pressure from their family to work things out or any of that nonsense. Friday was when Jacob finally reached out directly. He messaged me on Instagram saying he had no idea Natalie was doing all that. She'd been texting him for months, but he'd been ignoring most of it. Didn't even realize she had a serious boyfriend. I told him it wasn't his fault she was obsessed. He said she kept trying to get him to meet up and talk about their relationship, but there was nothing to talk about. They broke up 2 years ago and he'd moved on. Turns out she'd been telling Jacob completely different stories about us. She made it sound like we were having problems and might break up soon. Had no idea she was telling me we had a solid future while telling him our relationship was falling apart. He said he blocked her number after hearing what happened. Smart man. Took him long enough, though. By Friday night, I was exhausted from all the drama. My phone had been going off constantly all week with people wanting details or trying to play mediator. I finally turned it off and went to bed early. The next morning, I woke up feeling different. The anger was fading and was being replaced by something else. Relief, maybe? Like I'd been carrying this heavy weight and finally put it down. Yeah, the week sucked. Yeah, dealing with everyone's reactions and opinions was annoying. But for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. No more wondering why Natalie seemed distant sometimes. No more trying to figure out why she'd get weird when certain songs came on, or when we'd drive past places that reminded her of college. The truth was out. The games were over. And I was finally free to find someone who actually wanted to be with me, instead of settling for me while dreaming about someone else. Best week from hell ever. 2 weeks after the dinner, I was starting to feel normal again. The constant stream of messages from Natalie had slowed down to maybe 1 or 2 pathetic texts per day. I'd blocked her on everything, but she kept finding new ways to reach out. Fake Instagram accounts, having friends message me, even emailing me from different addresses. The content was always the same, though. Sorry, please forgive me. We can work through this. It was all a misunderstanding. Classic manipulation tactics that might have worked if I hadn't seen 8 months of evidence proving otherwise. I'd been staying busy to keep my mind off everything. Funny how much free time you have when you're not constantly worried about whether your girlfriend is secretly texting her ex. My family had been amazing through everything. Mom checked on me daily. Dad took me out for a few guy nights. Even Ella invited me to hang with her and her friends, which was sweet, but made me feel old as hell. They all kept saying how proud they were of how I handled everything and how I deserved better. The weird thing was, I was actually doing better. Yeah, It sucked finding out someone you loved was using you as a backup plan, but there was something freeing about finally knowing the truth. No more walking on eggshells wondering why she seemed distant. No more trying to decode her moods or figure out why certain things set her off. I wasn't living a lie anymore. Wednesday night, I was at home watching TV when I heard someone knocking on my door. Not normal knocking either, but desperate pounding like there was an emergency. I looked through the peephole and my stomach dropped. Natalie was standing on my porch crying hysterically. Her hair was a mess, makeup running down her face, still wearing scrubs from work. She looked like she'd driven straight over from the hospital where she worked. "Austin, please," she called out loud enough for my neighbors to hear. "I know you're in there. I can see the lights on. I just want to talk." I stayed exactly where I was on the couch and turned up the TV volume. Nothing she could say would change what she did, and I wasn't about to give her the satisfaction of getting a reaction. She kept knocking for what felt like forever. The desperate pleading got louder and more frantic as she realized I wasn't going to answer. "Austin, I'm sorry. I know I messed up, but we can work through this. I'll delete Jacob's number. I'll change my phone number. I'll do whatever you want. Whatever I want. How about going back in time and not lying to me for 8 months? Please just open the door. Let me explain everything." The texts weren't what they seemed like. I was just confused and scared. Right. 8 months of "I still love you" messages to her ex were just confusion. I could hear her crying harder now, but I didn't move. She'd had plenty of chances to be honest with me. Every day for 8 months, she chose to keep lying. Every night she went to sleep next to me while secretly wishing I was someone else. "Austin, I made a mistake. Jacob doesn't matter. You're the one I want to be with. I was just having doubts, but everyone has doubts sometimes, right? Doubts." That's what she was calling it. Not emotional cheating or betrayal or using me as a safety net while chasing her ex. Just doubts. The knocking got more desperate. She was probably worried my neighbors would call the cops or something. Good. Let them see what kind of crazy she was. I'll go to therapy. I'll do couples counseling. Whatever it takes to fix this. We had something special, Austin. Don't throw it away over one mistake. One mistake that lasted 8 months and involved planning our entire future while secretly wanting someone else. Some mistake. She tried a different approach when begging wasn't working. Started getting angry and entitled like I owed her something. Then she said I was being ridiculous, that I couldn't ignore her forever, that we needed to talk like adults. Funny how now it was about being adults. Adults don't sneak around texting their ex behind their partner's back for 8 months. Adults don't lie to two families about their feelings. "Fine," she yelled finally. "Be a child about it. But you know what we had was real. You know I love you. Real. The only real thing about our relationship was my feelings. Everything else was her going through the motions while fantasizing about Jacob." She tried knocking a few more times but eventually gave up. I watched through the peephole as she walked back to her car, still crying. Part of me almost felt bad seeing her that upset. But then I remembered those screenshots. I would leave Austin in a heartbeat if you just said the word. Forget feeling bad for her. About 10 minutes after she left, I found a note she'd shoved under my door. Picked it up and almost threw it away without reading it. But curiosity got the better of me. "Austin, I know you hate me right now, but I need you to know that I love you. I was stupid and confused, and I handled everything wrong, but my feelings for you are real. Jacob was just a fantasy, a memory I couldn't let go of. You are my reality and my future if you'll have me. I'll wait as long as it takes for you to forgive me because I know we're meant to be together. I'm sorry for everything. Natalie." I read it twice, then walked straight to the kitchen and threw it in the trash. Meant to be together. We were never meant to be together. I was just convenient, available, safe. The backup plan while she chased someone who clearly wanted nothing to do with her. The next morning, I woke up feeling lighter somehow. Like her showing up and me not answering the door had been some kind of final test that I passed. No more wondering if I should give her another chance or if I was being too harsh. She showed her true colors and I showed mine. She was desperate and manipulative and willing to show up at my house crying to get what she wanted. I was done with her bullshit and strong enough to not cave to emotional manipulation. My phone buzzed with a text from my dad asking how I was doing. Instead of the usual "hanging in there" response, I sent back, "Actually doing really good." And I meant it. For the first time in weeks, I felt genuinely good about where things were heading. Yeah, the last few weeks sucked, but they also showed me what I was really made of. I didn't beg for someone who didn't want me. I didn't make excuses for inexcusable behavior. I didn't let people walk all over me just to avoid being alone. I handled it like a man and came out stronger on the other side. Best decision I ever made was not opening that door. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is absolutely nothing at all.